Howdy artists, and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be creating artwork in here. Yeah, the place where you eat. Why? Because we're creating a still life. What's a still life, Miss Stone? A still life is an artwork that shows objects and natural forms, often on a table. So we're going to use this fantastic island, and put some fantastic things on top of it, draw it, and paint it. Are you ready? Let's find some things. What can I use? Here? I like that. I can't reach that, I'm too short. Got some cool little ice cream cones here. I like that. Now I have a basket full of fruit. Maybe the most healthy ice cream can be an apple ice cream. Does that look delicious? No, it doesn't. I have a grapefruit and more little mini oranges here. They're tangerines, clementines, or mikan. I have some apples that are way past eating time. Oh yeah, I don't want to eat these. Well, put them in here. Boop-a-doo, maybe one. And another apple ice cream? Nope. It's the most healthiest ice cream ever. That's cute. I kind of like it just one. Then I can arrange this here. That looks like fun. And let's turn that face, because we really want it to kind of look at you. Is there another way to make this cool? Let's see. Aha! I forgot about this cute little cup that I have. Where can you go? You can hang out here. Then you can hang out here. Then you can be over here with your friend, the apples and orange. And then we need cherries, because I'm wearing cherries, so of course cherries need to be in the cup. There we go. See? They're cute. So just put those there. Bam. Now I have a full arrangement. So I have the fantastic camel, 2 cherries, an orange, an apple, a green apple ice cream. Yeah, it's apple ice cream. I just made it up, okay? And then you have your fantastic vase with a face and a beautiful flower here. This is a gladiola. I love these because they were only $4. I got a whole bunch of them and made more. Look. Ta-da! Oh, by the way, if you have this type of vase, it's also great too. But don't forget that you need to be able to paint that water that's there. Make sure you can see it. If you can see it, you should draw it. I can't see it, so I don't have to draw it. Ha ha ha. Good trick. Now it's time for us to start drawing. We want to pay attention to the shapes that we see, not what we think. So while you're drawing, don't think to yourself, oh, I'm drawing this apple and it doesn't look like an apple. No, really, it's got a circular shape to it. So you can say, oh, I'm drawing this lumpy circle. And then maybe when you're working on this fantastic vase here, you can see that it's round and long, like a long oval. See how it curves here and then goes down? So just pay attention to the shapes that you already know and make it work. Let's go. So you can just rearrange it the way you like. Do what works for you. Yeah, that's great. I rearranged it again, but this way is super cool. Are you ready? Let's get drawing. So now I'm going to draw it how I see it, not how I want to see it. So make sure you're doing the exact same thing. Follow me. Can you see our still life? Good. I want to make sure that I draw where the end of the table is first. Now you should be sketching this nice and light, but I'm doing it a bit dark just so you can see it. So my vase goes in, then curves back down, and towards the bottom of it, where does it end? About here. Now I can't see all of it because it's blocked by this fantastic fake waffle cone here. And I'm going to sketch in that cone. Now, it could be really helpful if I think about where the lines fall. So, I can place in this part for the cone. Travel down. I know it curves and it's going to stop because that apple's there. And I want to make sure that this has that cone shape. That it's not just straight down like a rectangle, that it actually does a V shape. And that there should also be a little bit of space in between this cone and the vase, because there's some space between the vase. And then I can put in my fantastic apple, which is not an apple, remember? It's just a circle with lumps. So I put my circle in lumps and the top portion of that. Okay, and then I can add in those lines. And the ones that are on the top going horizontally, and they kind of curve a bit. So it's good if you pay attention to those little details because they really help. Oh, I forgot. This apple's going to cover up part of that. And how big is it? Just enough to cover part of the corner of this vase because I can't see that. And it's just a circle with some lumps. I can erase the part of the cone that I can't see. And if it helps, you can put the mouth in for the vase. You'll notice that mouth is equal to the line here for the cone. So I know I can put the part, we have the top lip and the bottom lip. You have a cool little upper lip there. The bottom of the nose. It's a little lower than this line. And that gives us a triangle. And then that goes straight up and curves. Then I keep going. Don't forget the other cone. And I'm going to do this one a little lighter because I know the camel is really blocking this ice cream cone. You know, that's realistic. Camels are always blocking ice cream cones. They're always in the same place. Then just put in your other circle for that orange. Then another circle for the center part of it. And then it has some little lines that come around that. Look at that. And now it's time to put in our camel. Now we know the camel's feet touch this apple here. So it's good to pay attention to the objects and how close they are. And also pay attention to the spaces around them. So I see it, this should go down, and that little elbow should be a little closer to that area. And you got the tuchus. And the tuchus needs to go out a little further. You're gonna scoot that out. There we go. Now it's just a line that curves up. And then you have your bumpy stuff, which is really just a saddle for the camel. And that goes up to here. And this makes another V if you notice that shape. And this should stop near that circle there. And then now it's time to put the head on the camel. And that should block part of this cone. Oh man, Miss Stone, you have more work to do. So if you really don't want to do all of your background, it's very good for you to zoom in and make this bigger, okay? Make it bigger. But the reason why I did this a little smaller is because I wanted to put in all the nice detail of these wiggly line things, which other people call flowers. But right now, they're just wiggly line things because that's exactly how it looks when I draw it. Well, that's a really pretty wiggly line thing. I like that one. So I'm just paying attention to the shape as I see it. Some things are overlapping, so you can't see all of it. Some things are not facing me whatsoever, so I do my best with that. And then you have this one fantastic flower that actually is looking at me and posing for me. Thanks, flower. You look good. Appreciate you. And you notice my head keeps moving because I'm looking at what I'm drawing and then I'm drawing. Looking at what I'm drawing, then looking at my sketch. Looking at what I'm drawing, then looking at my sketch. It's very important for you to do the same thing so you know that you're getting all those important details, because you'll miss them if you don't look. Try not to just make up stuff. That's good. So I'm gonna put in some of these lines here for where the wood is. All right, so now I have my table and my still life. Now be in mind, your still life doesn't have to be live things, because that camel's not living. If he is, I haven't fed him, and I apologize. So you can just put lots of objects on your table and just arrange them in a way that you like it and draw it. And now it's time for me to add some color. Yay! Now when I'm doing watercolor, I don't want to hold my paper up like this. You can guess why, because then all the paint's gonna go down to the bottom, and I don't want that. So I'm gonna keep it flat, and I'm gonna take a picture of what this is right here, so that way I can paint it and look at the picture. All right, you ready to come with me? I guess we can get out of the kitchen. Well, I'm gonna eat a snack, and then we get back to work. I printed out this picture for you so that way you can still see all of the shadows and the highlights that are in these objects that are here. And let's work on the lighter colors. So I'm going to work on the vase. And since the vase is actually a pale gray, I'm going to get my brush a little wet in this black and then clean it off. And when you clean it off, you can just put it in your water and you can just slide it on the slide. And you see, slide it on the side. And as you can see there's just a little bit of that dark gray showing, and that's great. So I can use that for all of the shadows. So I can place that here. And if I notice it needs just a bit more color, you can add a little bit more black, go back into the water. This is watercolor, so water is your friend. Make sure you're using the water. Now that's a lot darker there, and if I want that to kind of blend out, I can just add some more water. So what did I say? Water's your friend. Who's your friend? Water. Then I can add water, no paint, to this, and you'll see it spread a bit. And I can use the rest of this to fill up this area here. Now I'll pop in those shadows in just a moment. And there's actually a shadow. There's a shadow here. Too dark, add water. Too light, add color. Want more detail when it comes to those lips. Shadowing from the cone. And further down, more shadows because you have all of these objects that are blocking the light. And that's pretty good right there for the vase. Now if I want to add in some more highlights some other places, the only way to add in a highlight is to leave it white. So you can't really add white here if there isn't any white. And your paper is already white, so you just leave it white. Let's keep going. Let's work on, let's try not to dirty our brush or water too much, so let's work on the lighter colors. How about this orange? And the orange has a little bit of yellow in it at the top section. That's kind of the highlight area. Then orange. And if I want to make this area a little darker of the orange, I can add a bit of brown to it or red. And the camel is kind of a pale orange, a orangey brown. So I would get some orange, get most of the color off my brush, and just lightly add that color. So that's too much for me. Add more water. And when you're moving your hand, you want to make sure you don't rub across your artwork. I always try to put this little pinky finger down. Okay, and I noticed there's a bit of orange in that apple. About here. So I'll place that. And some yellow. And this green apple is a Granny Smith apple. And that's really like a yellow green. So I'm gonna put in some yellows and then I can add green to it. I want to curve that color so it gives it a round shape. Put that in there. There we go. And the ice cream cone is almost the same color as the camel. But I'm going to use brown and lots of water. Paying attention to the fact that there's kind of some shadow right here. And knowing I'm placing it nice and lightly here, then add a bit more color because it's more of a shadow in this area here. And that shadow goes past the apple just a little bit. And then if I really want to put in the detail, I can wait for it to dry so I can do all of those lines. In the meantime, I'm going to add just a little bit of yellow to it. And you don't have to color match perfectly. You're the artist, so make it awesome. All right, now let's work on the tan part that should go on this camel. That's brown plus water. Tan equals brown plus water. Place that in. And if I want to do more detail, I wait till it's dry, because if I start putting a whole bunch of this dark brown on here, it may start bleeding everywhere. I don't want it to bleed. I don't have band-aids for this artwork. So we'll move on to the red next. I like the way the color kind of sweeps up, sweep, sweep, sweep. That's a nice bold red. And it goes around. And you'll notice that I waited for this area to dry before I put this red here, because I don't want the red to start bleeding all the way into the cone. So I kind of hop around in different areas so it allows it time, or I hop around in different areas to give it time to dry. So that way when I'm adding more color, it doesn't start bleeding into every single object, because that looks weird. We don't like that. Let's do the flowers. Now what I can do is give it an overall red base, and then I can just start adding in all of the dark areas. So I'm just going to color all of it right now. A nice bold red. Oh, that's pretty. Oop, that's supposed to be green, Miss Stone. Oops, my bad. And if you make a mistake like that, sometimes you can wet a little paper towel and try to sop up some of that color, but you can end up spreading it everywhere, and you want to be very careful. You can sop up some of the color, or you can just say, oh well. I was very gentle. So now it's a good time for me to add those little dark areas. So I'm going to go into the purple, which you can't really tell is purple over here. It looks very dark. And I'll add that deep areas that you see. I'll add those deep areas that you see. And I'm doing this while it's wet because I do want it to blend a bit with the red. If I want to make outlines, then I wait till it's dry. But if I want the colors to blend and bleed a bit, then I want to do it when it's wet. There are different techniques when it comes to watercolor. You want to do what works best for the items that you are coloring. And a little bit of color here. And I want lots of color this section, and very dark under here. More purple, more water, more purple, more water. And you'll see that even though it's not perfect, if I take my time, it's going to look beautiful. So you want to make sure you're taking your time as well. If you rush it, it's going to look like it. Your grade's going to look like, I rushed this assignment, so this is what I get. And since this purple is a bit strong, what I can do is put in all the little accent pieces that I wanted. So it's already starting to dry. And then I can just add more red on top of it so it's not so strong. finish up this purple first. But I'll finish up this purple first. Red, red, red. Oops, making a mess there, dear. Clean your brush. And I put that super red there. And I can rub it a bit, and that will help blend it so it's not so strong. And I can add that in other places. That's quite pretty. All right, so I'm going to put in the green. I don't want to put the green right here because this is still wet and I don't want it to spread into the red. So I'm gonna wait for this section and hop somewhere else, okay? So you remember we're jumping from one area to the next. So I'm gonna use this purple and do these cherries, and I'm gonna leave a little white spot. Careful. So it has a highlight, and do the same thing with this one here. And those cherries look scrumdiddlyumptious. And there's also some darker parts in this apple, so I'm gonna wipe off most of this purple, dry just a little bit. And then I can put in some more little detail lines. And shadowing. Okay, and I can do this cup here. Make sure you clean your paintbrush. I'm gonna name this paintbrush. This is Slim. Hi, Slim. Can you take a bath, please? Yes, I can. I can take a bath. Now dry off so you don't have any extra color on you. Yes, please. Thank you. You're welcome. All right, now let's put some brown, a little bit of water. And I don't want it so dark, so wet the brush, dry it off a bit. Careful so it doesn't spread into my orange and my camel. Okay, and I can add a little bit of yellow to that. Line it up a bit. And now I'm gonna leave it alone so it can dry. Hop to something else. Okay, so I think this is a good time for me to do the green parts of these leaves here and the stem. And there's not a lot of yellow showing, but if I put that yellow there, it's gonna be pretty. So I'm gonna throw in just a little bit of yellow into this artwork. Just where I kind of see those highlights. And typically your highlights will be on one particular side, like it's lighter on this side here. But right now it's darker there because there are things blocking it. So you really want to pay attention to the shadows. You know, your light may be coming from one direction, your objects may be blocking the light. So you want to pay attention to that. Okay, some green here. Green. And what I like about the watercolor is the colors are a lot more bold and bright than my picture. So that's awesome. The bold and bright is beautiful. More green. And make sure your paintbrush is always wet. Slim needs to be wet. Like he just came out of the pool. Don't let him dry up and get crunchy and ashy. Okay, so now we have the little stems here and the little sticks that would come out of the apples, as well as the little circular part here that's supposed to be green, and the inside of there that should be kind of a turquoise. So I want to work on them piece by piece depending on what's dry. So you work on each area depending on what's dry. Now I would wait to put these stems in until I'm done with all of it, because that's a little small detail that's good for saving for last. So I'll put this green here, and then I'm gonna move on. So when it comes to the background, I can decide to do this. When it comes to the background, I can do this whole background like that, or I can just keep it simple with one color, and I think that's great. So I'll put in the wood that's here, because what's important is the table and what's sitting on the table. That's a still life. Something sitting on a table. That's my version of saying what a still life is. Something on a table. Now, does it have to be alive? No, it's not alive. Yeah, because this flower, unfortunately, when it got cut, it's been slowly dying. That's sad, Miss Stone. They got real dark. Anyways, okay, so what you want to do is make sure your object that's on the table is colored and the table is colored, but your background, you could have a field day making that just one color or two, whatever floats your boat, finds your lost remote. Okay, so let's have fun doing the background. We ready? Let's go. You can use a larger brush if you have one. I currently don't, and I also should have some underlay paper under here. Ha 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 ha. And I don't. So make sure you have underlay paper. All right, here's my friend Penelope. Penelope's gonna help us out with painting. And I honestly just added water to this. So I put that blue down in one area and then I added water because I want around here to be very light. Pale blue, you may say. And make sure you're going in one direction. We had this conversation. There's no band called Scribble. There's a band that was called One Direction, or a music group. And you should be coloring and painting in one direction. No scribbling. Scribbling is for the littles. Alright, so now I have a beautiful pale blue here. And I like the way it is. I'm going to add just a little bit more color in here. And since this has a nice oval shape here, I'm going to give that color a bit more of an oval shape too. So I can make it darker over here in this corner by just adding that color. Then I can blend it by going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I can do that at the bottom as well. And let's do a little more blue. Enhancing that area and adding more water. More water, please. Penelope is thirsty. Good job, Penelope. You're welcome. So polite. All right, so let's do the other side. Making sure we put our underlay paper over here. And what I can do is a wet technique here where I just wet up this whole section. And you notice I'm kind of just going around my area here. That keeps me from having it bleed and look like a crazy mess when I put in all this time and effort. Okay, so I just wet this whole section up with just water. Then I can wet my brush, grab some color, and add that. And that works much faster than the other way. I get smarter as I work. And I'm sure you do too. Keep going. Add more color in these corners. Blend, blend, blend. Go backwards, go forwards, go backwards, go forwards. Do the other corner. Curve and blend. Getting those corners. Make sure there's no areas of white that I don't want there. I don't want accidental white. I want on purpose white. No accidental white. So that's looking nice so far. And I honestly think this will be really pretty if I put just a little bit of some yellow for highlight. So I'm gonna throw that in just in this area here. And use my water to blend it. And being real careful, you'll notice that I changed my brush. Now Slim is working and Penelope is in the bathtub. Because you need the right tool for the right job. And right now, Slim is the best tool. And I can blend that by using water. Water's your friend for blending. Taking my time, being careful. Please don't spread that red. Don't spread the red. Too late. I already spread it. It'll be all right. And for me, that just made it a little cooler. And I can add a little bit more of that yellow on the other side. And then add some water. I think the background is really your time to shine, where you can just have some fun. And I think it's good to avoid too much black because it can start to take over a lot of your artwork. Black is incredibly strong, so you want to be very specific about your use of black because it can really bring out the color and make your artwork pop, or it can become the focal point. All right, so now that I have a really cool background and I like the way this is looking so far, I want to do this bottom section here with the blue while this area dries because I don't want to start coloring this while this is kind of wet. Oh, it's already dry. Okay, I'm gonna work on this area then. No, let's do this part. All right, let's work on the bottom part of the blue. Scoot it up just a little bit. Put this paper towel down. Some more blue. Oh, this was a red part, wasn't it? It was the red island. So, clean that off. Tear the paper towel. Wet it. Whoop, come back, Penelope. Where are you going? clean it off. And then I'll let it dry so that part can be red. So in the meantime, this area over here can be blue. And if I feel it's too dark, just add more water, sweep it off. Nice. All right. So this area here needs to be red, but it's wet. So I'm gonna leave it alone for right now. I'm gonna work on this area, which needs to be a tannish kind of yellow color. So I'm gonna make sure Penelope is super clean because right now she's showing a lot of blue. But sometimes it may still be the color that you see on the paintbrush, but it may paint clear. So you wanna check. Always check it out on your paper towel here. That's what it's there for. Make a mess right there. And then you can paint. So I'm gonna do that same little trick I did with the blue and put all the water down the area I wanna work, but I wanna be real careful around my shapes and my objects, so I don't want to take away from them. I use so much time and effort to make it pretty. I don't want to mess you up. Okay, and then now I can add some color, and I'll put some yellow. Let me see how cool that looks. Oh yeah, Mr. likes that. Good job, Penelope. Yeah, welcome. She's so kind. Penelope, you stay hanging out with me. We're gonna be friends. That's how we're friends. Okay, we're friends. Yes, we're already friends. All right, so once you have that, then you can put in some of the brown. So it has the nice line work of wood. And you can use Slim for details like this, but I kind of like the brush strokes that Penelope gives me. And if you only have one brush, you make it work. Make sure your lines go off the page. I don't really care for this little part right here where it's too dark, so I'm clean this brush, wet it, and sweep it. Sweep it off the page. Sweep it off the page. Where are you going? Off the page. Gonna sweep you off the page. Yeah. Alrighty. And then we're gonna apply all the little shadows after that dries. But right now, bam. And then there are some areas that are going straight down. I have the vertical lines, and I'll use Slim for that. Slim, your turn. Yeah, my turn. And put Slim to work. And Slim, you got a job to do. Drawing some of these lines, and if I feel like those lines are way too strong, add some water. And Penelope just fixed it, and Penelope was actually pretty dry for sweeping these, and it looks really pretty. Okay, so now let's put some red here. And then let this area dry so we can put in those little shadows there. Because there's supposed to be some tan right here. Yes, it is. Don't forget to put it there. Oh, let's put little water droplets. How do I get the water droplets up? Paper towel? Paper towel and water. I swear, y'all are just a good team. All right. Let's put some red down here. Oh, that's gonna be nice. Yes, it is. I like it. More red, please. And you'll notice I'm always cleaning my brush as I change colors so I don't mess up the other colors. Don't be rude. Have your paint manners. Oh, that's cool. Kind of makes me wish that this red went all the way across, but since that blue is already there, it is what it is. Or I can kind of even it out maybe. And I use my paper towel and cut off this color. Make it go away. And sometimes this works for you, sometimes it doesn't. So if it doesn't work, don't get your feelings hurt. Your artwork may decide that it wanted to keep it that way. And you can't really fight the artwork. The artwork will win. It will win. And then I can kind of separate that area there. Then I can let that dry and then add the blue. And that'll look cool because it'll be symmetrical. Now, let's put in the shadows that we see. And to do that, we can use our brown or we can use the black lightly. So I'm going to show you how to use the black lightly. And I just get in the black, line it up so because I can have a gray. And then I use my towel to dry off most of it so I can be real specific about my lines. I want darkness here. And if that's not dark enough, I can add more. Shadows of the cherries. Darkness of the apple. Very dark area below the base. The vase face. I need it darker. What? More black. Pale. Throw that color in there. Alright. Alright. And then this area here was supposed to be a greenish color, but I already have this black out, so bump it. So I'm gonna put this gray. And this black is so strong, it's really just making everything pop. Make things cohesive, or it can stand out. Alright, so I'm pretty much going to use the black for some of my little highlights. I'm going to use the black for a lot of my shadows and detail. But I want to be very specific about it. And it's kind of hard to see this area here. And I feel if I put a dark shadow in there, it'll make it pop, but it's not correct. So it needs to stay gray. There we go. That looks cool. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is finish this little blue area here that I wanted to put down, see if it can work. Please work, please work. Make sure Penelope is clean. And there we go. I have blue where I wanted blue. So that's even. So once again, use your black for any areas that you want to enhance and make better. That's what black is for. And use your white to highlight areas and give them some pop. And it gives them more of a realistic look. Make sure you don't let the white or the black overpower your artwork. That's what color is for. And have fun with it. Make sure you're not scribbling. Nobody wants that scribbly mess. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. And some areas you can still fix if you didn't like by adding white and just kind of brushing it. If you brush really hard, you're going to tear up the fibers of the paper. So you want to make sure that you're being gentle with your artwork. Like I said, practice your art manners and your paint manners. Your manners matter, regardless of what it is. And I really think this would be cooler if it was a bit more blue, especially in this area. So I'm going to add more blue. Because I can. Because I'm in charge. Because I'm the artist. Oh yeah, I'm already liking it so much more. Careful, that's wet. All right, and if you don't feel confident using your watercolor to sign in the corner, you can always use a Sharpie. I'm okay with that. And I use my black to enhance some of these lines. There we go. Done. Yay! Yay!